Thank you for having me again in Sttutgart. Excited to be here. I'm excited about this crowd. I think they put out 400 chairs, and it looks like standing room only. So very exciting. It's obviously a very interesting time in the silver world. I don't understand a lot of German, so I apologize for that. But based on the charts that Jochen showed, the backdrop for silver right now is phenomenal. Ultimately, gold's hit all-time highs. Silver has not yet, so there's a lot of room left for silver. There's a lot of opportunity left for Endeavour Silver. Our goal is to be a senior silver producer. To be a senior silver producer, we think we need to produce about 25 million ounces of silver. And in this deck, I'm going to show you growth that we already have in our company that we want to execute over the next 5 years. So before we're out of this decade, I expect Endeavour Silver to be producing 30 million silver equivalent ounces. At the beginning of this year, we told the market that we would produce 8 million silver equivalent ounces with our Guanaceví and Bolañitos mines. So we are a mid-tier producer. We're listed on the New York Stock Exchange. 60% of our revenue comes from silver, 40% comes from gold. If you look at our peers, and there's not a lot of peers in the silver space as primary silver producers, you got Pan American, Hecla, Coeur, First Majestic, Mag Silver. If you look at all their revenue mix, it's mostly 50% or lower of their revenue comes from silver. So we're 60% silver, 40% gold, significant leverage to the silver price. Our mines, we've historically been in Mexico. Again, we said at the beginning of this year, we're going to do about 7 to 7.9 million silver equivalent ounces of production. And that comes from Guanaceví and Bolañitos. Those assets, I like to say, are mature mines. That's a kind way to say high cost, short mine lives. And that's fine. That's how we built the company. A lot of people, some shareholders in this room, great leverage to silver. So as price goes up, we get an expansion, exponential expansion on our profit margins. Makes for a fun stock to play in, trade, lots of volatility. Not the best way to manage a business. We get $30 million of cash flow from Guanaceví, $20 million of cash flow from Bolañitos. Ultimately, some years that was zero. When Terronera comes online, we'll do $120 million of cash flow, and we can prove out that we have 10 years. We expect to be there 15, 20, 25 years before it's all said and done. So transformational time coming for Endeavour, and we expect Terronera to come online within the next 90 days. So we're very excited about it. Recent developments in the company, and what I've come out and talked to a lot of people about, is Terronera and where it's at. I'll give you an update where we're at. Work at Pitarrilla. Pitarrilla is one of the world's largest undeveloped silver deposits. There's close to 600 million ounces of silver, zinc and lead, something that will support a 20 to 30-year mine life. And then we recently announced a purchase in Peru. So we've moved out of Mexico, and we're looking beyond Mexico now, and that's just where we are. Peru's the next evolution for Endeavour. Mexico in itself is the #1 producing silver in the world. It produces 200 million ounces of the 800 million ounces of silver that comes out of mines. Number 2 is China, and number 3 is Peru. So it's a natural evolution to go into Peru. We're buying a mine that's fully operational. It's been operational for 20 years. Ultimately, it's got a support group in Lima, close to 2,000 employees, self-sufficient, producing $40 million of cash flow, $35 million of free cash flow. So we see it as a bolt-on for Endeavour, but there is continue to be opportunity there. There's a 9-year mine life that we purchased, but we think we're going to be there 15, 20, 25 years. So Copan itself does about 5 million ounces of silver equivalent per year. 2024, 2023, that was done just shy of 2,000 tons per day. They recently got an expansion permit to go to 2,500 tons per day. So that would take us from 5 million ounces to 6.5 million silver equivalent ounces. Ultimately, cash flows could go from 40 to 50, $55 million of cash flow. We bought this for $145 million. $145 million. So we can pay back this mine within 3 years. But why we bought it isn't necessarily for what's already there. It's what we expect to find there. ultimately, they've been mining about 4-kilometer trend. They've gone down 200 meters. It's not that the mineralization stops at 200 meters. They've stopped mining because there's water underneath that. It's very common. We do it at Guanaceví. We're going to do it at Terronera. We pump that water. It's likely that 4-kilometer trend goes down another 200, 400 meters. Right now, they think they have about 120 million silver equivalent ounces there. It's historic. We've got to do work. We've got to twin holes, validate the work they've done. But ultimately, within a year and a half, we expect to come out with a 43-101, so a resource estimate under Canadian laws that shows there's about 120 million ounce silver equivalent at Copa. And then ultimately, we expect to grow that to 200, 250 million ounces. So now we've taken 8 million silver equivalent ounces that we're producing at Guanaceví and Bolañitos, adding Copa 5.1, so we're at 13 million silver equivalent ounces. Guanaceví, I've got slides. Ultimately, it's pretty consistent. It's a higher cost asset. Bolañitos, we've been there 19 years, never had more than 2-year reserve life. It's now a gold asset. We expect to be there for another 3 to 5 years. Again, between those two assets, it's $50 million of cash flow. We're adding $40 million of cash flow with Copa, so we have $90 million. Terronera will do $100 to $150 million in cash flow over the next 10 years, and we expect, again, to be that 10, 15, 20, 25 years. So we're very excited about where we are right now. And ultimately, Terronera, which you can see there up on the screen, that's our upper platform. We completed that December 31st. All the questions I'm taking right now from existing shareholders is when will Terronera start? This week, we announced wet commissioning, so we've started crushing rock at the crushers, and now we can put tailings on our tailings dam. Crushing, grinding, flotation, concentrate filter, where we produce a con, silver and gold, high-grade mud, and our filter press has just started going, and we're working on that to work. We expect ramp up over the next 90 days. And ultimately, again, what I came here last year was we would double our production, cut our cost profile in half. What makes Terronera so special is that the gold pays for the cost of sales, the exploration, sustaining capital, and effectively the silver comes for free. Our all-in sustaining costs are effectively zero. Cash costs are negative. And again, cash flows anywhere from $100 to $150 million at $30 silver, with expectations that silver can go much higher than where we're at today. Again, where we talk about Terronera is the potential. The Terronera vein itself is 90% of the resource, so we have about 95 million ounces here. The average thickness of that vein is 5.5 meters thick. The magenta zone that you see on the screen, that's over 500 grams silver equivalent up to kilos. That's our widest area. In the top part of the structure, that's 20 meters thick. At the bottom part, 30 meters thick. That's the juice of our ore body. It's not that the ore body ends there. It's not a hard line. That's where our estimate ends. We're in a very difficult topography, very mountainous region. We've had to cut the tops off various mountain tops to put our plants. Ultimately, drilling gets very expensive in that topography, in those regions. So we expect to continue to drill once we get underground, significantly reduces that cost. Again, it's not that the resource ends there. We have a 3-year life of inferred ounces that aren't in our mine plan under 43-101 Canadian law. But ultimately, we will start drilling that, and we expect it to continue down. So Terronera is open along strike and to depth. The La Luz vein, it's about 1 kilometer away. It's a very small 120,000 ton deposit at this point. It's a high-grade gold vein. It's 8 grams gold. It's also open along strike and to depth. We've just started getting into that vein. We've been ramping in there. In June, we start some development in ore, and then we'll be mining from La Luz in November. But most importantly, we'll be drilling La Luz to make sure that we have more underneath and develop the most efficient mine plan. Other than that, we have 20,000 hectares here at Terronera. We've drilled about 12 other veins. 5 of those veins have mineralization north of 400 grams silver equivalent, some up to 1 kilo. So again, once we'll start focusing on what we know near to the mine, and then more regional. We expect to be here 15, 20, 25 years. So it's pretty special if you can do 20 years of $150 million of cash flow, if silver just stays at $30. I'm very big on where silver is going to go, just what Jochen showed everybody. The industrial demand for silver has increased significantly. The monetary story, the debts and deficits the government carries, is going to push silver much higher than what we've historically seen. With that, and why we're trying to grow the company, again, our goal is to be a senior silver producer. We have Guanaceví and Bolañitos, Colpa, Terronera. We have about $120 million of debt that we borrowed. We're going to pay that off within a year of Terronera being into operation. But ultimately, what's next? What comes after Terronera? And in 2022, we picked up the Pitarrilla project. Pitarrilla is one of the world's largest undeveloped silver deposits. There's 600 million ounces of silver defined, plus zinc, plus lead. So almost 950 million ounces of silver. It's a question of how much we're going to be able to get out. And us as underground vein miners, we're focused on the underground potential for Pitarrilla. So ultimately for Pitarrilla, we have a plant permitted. We have a mine permitted. We already have a 2-kilometer adit that's gone into Pitarrilla so we can check the geology, confirm what we've been seeing through the drilling, confirm the geology to ensure that we can mine this at high volumes. This year, we're spending $27 million at Pitarrilla, $10 million on exploration, about $12 million on a new camp for construction, mobile equipment, and then work towards a feasibility study that we expect in Q1 2026. Right now, our Terronera development team is finishing off the build for Terronera. We want them to move from Terronera to Pitarrilla. If we can start building Pitarrilla by the end of 2026, we could be into operation 2029 or 2030, ultimately getting us to what we think would be about 7 million ounces of silver plus zinc and lead. So on a silver equivalence basis, you're talking about 11, 12 million silver equivalent ounces. The thing that would make Pitarrilla very special is what would its cost profile be. If it can be a 3,500, 4,000 ton per day operation, because of the proximity and how this ore body is created, makes it a potential for a very low-cost operation. At the bottom of what was going to be an open pit for the previous holders of Pitarrilla is a mantle that's got 7 million tons of silver grading 300 grams per ton, so 10 ounces per ton. It's just a big blob, like a room like this of just coming. So you can do room and pillar, very cheap costs. That's 7 million tons. There's 3 veins that go up through that manto to a depth of 800 meters, and we know that's the depth at this point. But that's another 13 million tons. Those veins are about 2.5 to 3 meters thick. There's little splays in between that, and all within 70 meters of each other. So you can get good volumes for very little capital and ultimately low operating costs. We think Pitarrilla will be something similar to Terronera when it comes to cash flow. Again, our goal is to become a senior silver producer. We have a plan to get to 30 million silver equivalent ounces by the end of this decade. So we're very excited with what we have. Again, our operations team's done very well. We're almost through our Terronera build. We've just bought in Minera Colpa in Peru. We're integrating that right now. That's another 5 million ounces silver equivalent. For 2026, we expect to do 20 million silver equivalent ounces. Cash flows will be north of $200 to $250 million. So we have got great growth coming. We're listed on New York Stock Exchange. We have phenomenal volumes. We have great liquidity. We do 11 million shares per day. Right now, there's about 290 million shares outstanding. We bought Colpa with issuing shares to the vendor, issuing shares so we could raise capital to buy Colpa. So today, our market cap is about 1.2 billion US dollars. We have great leverage to silver. As I said at the outset, a lot of our peers' revenue mix is a lot lower than 50%. We're trying to stay above 50%, take advantage of what we see is happening in the silver market. So with that, I appreciate everybody coming. It's great to be back at Sttutgart. To see this room this full is awesome. I think it's a reflection of what's coming in the market. Thank you.